Welcome back to our channel. My name is Kath Ann, and this is episode 45 of the Homework Help Show, hosted by Homework Help Global. Here on the show, we provide you with valuable content for your academic and student life. Creating a resume can seem like a daunting process when you think about all of the work experiences and professional jobs that you have had. It might seem overwhelming to condense this all into 1 or 2 short pages. However, when you break it down into a variety of steps, it does not have to be a difficult process. Before beginning building your resume, look for a template that you can use. I suggest using Microsoft Word. They have a variety of different professional-looking templates. If you don't see one there that appeals to you, you can also search online. Pick a template and go from there. Use one that is both professional-looking as well as uncluttered. You don't want your resume to have too much clutter on it, and you also want it to reflect who you are as a professional, career-oriented person. Remember, each resume should be tailored to the job that you are applying for. Now, today we will discuss how to build a standard resume. However, you can take that standard resume and tailor it to any job that you apply for in the future. Make sure when you do tailor your resume that you are looking at the job description that the employer provides, and then you can use some of the language that they have incorporated into the job description and put it into your resume. Step 1. Collect all of your personal and employment information. Once you have all your information gathered, it will be much easier to write your resume. Make a list of all the information you want to use, including your jobs, start and end date, credentials, education, and any skills that you want to incorporate on your resume. You will also need your name and contact information like your phone number and your email, as well as any additional information that you think may be required on your resume. You may want to consider incorporating references on your resume as well. Step 2. Begin writing your resume. Once you have all of your information gathered, write your resume in the following order. Begin by writing your resume heading. This will include your name, your contact information like your email and phone number, and it should be located at the top of your resume and centered. Second, you will want to include an objective. This is not necessary in a professional resume, however, it is something that may be of interest to you if you are looking to apply for a specific job. The objective gives the employer the opportunity to know what you are interested in applying for, as well as the skills that you can bring to the job. It is 1 to 2 quick lines that will describe to the hiring manager what you have to offer to the job. Then you want to list your experiences. Employers will want to know your job history, where you have worked, what your position was, and how long you worked there. Make sure you include all of these details in your work history and your work experience section. List the jobs and internships you have had from reverse chronological order. You will want to go from the job you have had most recently to your latest job. For each position, include the job title, location of where you worked, how long you worked there, and any accomplishments that you achieved while you were there. You will also want to include a bulleted list of responsibilities that could relate to the job that you're applying for. When you are writing your bulleted list of responsibilities, use the present tense for jobs that you are currently working at, and use the past tense when you are referring to jobs that you have worked for in the past. Then you will want to discuss your volunteer work. If you have volunteer experience that relates to the job, definitely include this on your resume. Or if you've done volunteer work in between employment gaps, that is also something important to include because it will speak to how you spent your time while you were between employment. Education usually comes next. You only need to describe the degrees and the institutions you attended if you have been out of school for a few years. If you are a new student coming out of school, you may want to include your GPA, however, this is not necessary. Again, education should be listed in reverse chronological order, so if you have multiple degrees or multiple certificate programs, list the one that you are currently in first and then go backwards from there. You will also want to detail any certifications you have, and that will go in the next section. Any things like first aid or other types of things that will apply to the job that you are applying to. If you have any technological aspects that could be included in these credentials, definitely make sure that you do include any certificates that you've received or any credentials. Certifications is the next section of your resume, and you will just want to describe any certifications or credentials that you have achieved. Then you may also want to consider awards and accomplishments. Don't be shy to, boast yourself up a little bit and talk about some awards that you've received. This demonstrates to a hiring manager that you have initiative and that you are willing to put forth the effort to achieve an award. You'll also want to include a list of skills. This is usually written in bullet form, and a good way to go about writing this is to look at the job description and use some of the language that the hiring manager has posted in the job description in your bullet points. Make sure that all the skills that you are listing apply to the job that you're applying for. Finally, you may consider adding personal interests into your resume. However, that is not something I personally add into my resume. Though if you are applying for a tech job and you have lots of experience and interest in computers, this could be something that you could add into your personal interest section of your resume. It can be helpful to give the hiring manager a sense of who you are as a person and what your interests are and how they relate to the potential job. Step number 3, choose your layout. There are 3 different ways to lay out a resume, and we will discuss them here. First is chronological. This is the most frequently used layout for a resume, and it presents your work history from most recent job to latest job. You can also use a functional resume layout. This usually comes in handy if you don't have a consistent track record of work, so you can focus on your experiences, volunteer experiences, and your skills that you have to offer. This is a more functional layout, and it doesn't go in chronological order, and in that way you are not saying to the potential hiring manager that you have missed a significant time frame in which you could have been employed. Finally, you can use a combination method. This resume layout includes both the functional as well as the chronological work history. Step number 4, format your resume text. When you are writing your resume, you will want to go back and make sure that it is legible and that it is easy for the hiring manager to read. Use formats or fonts such as Arial, Times New Roman, Verdana. These are all fonts that are really accessible and really easy to read. The only exception to this is if you are applying to a design-related position where you will want to showcase some of your skills around font design. In this case, you can use a fancier font or perhaps something you design yourself. Consistency is important when you're writing your resume, so make sure you are using the same font throughout your resume as well as on your cover letter. One thing to note is that you can vary the font size and whether it is bolded or italics. Using these types of changes throughout the resume will just break up your resume. Feel free to use underlines or bold for headings and italics to emphasize certain parts of your resume. This is where a template could come in handy because a template will already have these components built into it. Step 5, proofread and print the final version. You will definitely want to go through your resume again and again to make sure you have not made any typos. There is nothing worse than handing in a resume that has a variety of typos on it. You will most definitely not have a good opportunity to get that job if you're posting something or giving something that is not professional. One idea is to get someone else to read it before you do give out the resumes. They may have the opportunity to see something that maybe you have missed. It always helps to have a second pair of eyes. Print a copy of the resume and make sure that what is on your computer lines up with how it should look on paper. Sometimes the formatting can be askew, and this is something you want to make sure is legitimate before you do hand it out to employers. Once you are all set, print multiple copies of your resume and put them in a folder to hand out at a variety of interviews. Step number 6, write a resume for each job you apply for. As mentioned earlier, you will want to tailor your resume depending on which job you're applying for. Although you will always have a standard resume and it's great to have that on hand, make sure that you are using the language that is used in the job description in your resume, because this will show that you are interested in that specific job and it will demonstrate that you do have the skills needed to apply to that specific job. When you use the same language that the employer is using, they are more willing to relate to your resume because they will pick up on keywords that they themselves use. In this case, it could mean them choosing you over another candidate. Okay, so that's it for me this week, guys. I hope this episode was of benefit. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our other content. If you're looking to connect with us on social media at all, check out the links in the description box below. All of our information is there. And also, if you do have any questions about how to write your resume, how to format your resume, definitely jump into the comment box below and we will see if we can help you out. Also, check out our website because this is something that we can help you with. If you do need an extra set of eyes, hit us up at Homework Help Global and we would be glad to take a look over your resume and do a little bit of editing or help you format your resume and write it too. Alright guys, good luck applying for those jobs and let us know if we can help. Have a great week and take care.